Thank you so much for joining me today at Inspirations by Classy Ken. This is episode 7 of Miracles in the Midst of a Crisis. And today I have my aunt. I got family with me today, y'all. This is my aunt Denise, my fashionista, my aunt. And she's going to share her testimony today, which we could be here all day if she really just went into detail, but she's going to try to shorten it down because she has a marvelous testimony. This is the strongest woman that I know. Like, my children, they say I'm strong, and I am strong, but I'm telling you, this is the strongest woman that I know. So she's going to share her testimony, but before she does that, I want to just inspire and give the inspiration of the day. So the inspiration of the day, what I'm going to share with you all today is just talking about grief. And Monday, August the 10th, was the 2-year, I don't like to say anniversary, but the date that we lost my son, Chris Packer. And I wore this shirt today. We got these shirts made last year when we did the 1-year anniversary. He just passed away suddenly. And I wanted to just share with you all how to deal with when you lose a loved one suddenly. Due to COVID-19, we've had so many people that have lost people suddenly. You weren't able to say goodbye. And when you lose somebody suddenly, it's a little different because the enemy will try to come in and say, well, they called me a couple weeks ago and I didn't answer their phone, or they texted me and I didn't respond, or, we had an argument and I didn't get a chance to say that I'm sorry. And I really believe that that's just the enemy trying to basically stir grief. I mean, just to help you to continue to grieve, because I just don't think that that's something that we should hang on to when we lose a loved one. I think that we should hang on to the good times and the joyous times and the times that the Lord allowed us to spend with that loved one. So I just wanted to encourage anyone that has lost someone suddenly to know that your loved one is still here. Their spirit still lives on. Their body is gone, and the Bible says we were made from the dust and we return to the dust. But when you lose a loved one, their spirit is still with you. It's just so ironic. It's not ironic, but on Monday, I just was very, very down, and people, they text and they, saying that they're praying for you, and I kind of laid around and just didn't really have any gumption to get up and do anything. But probably I went from the couch from the bed to the sofa, and so at about 3 o'clock, I'm like, okay, let me get up. So I got up and I got on my Peloton. I was trying to just kind of get some of that energy out. And you can pick your programs when you're exercising. And the third song that came on was Teach Me How to Dougie. And that was my baby's favorite song. He would, when he went out and everything, he would dance to it. And it just made me smile and it made me laugh. And I'm like, okay, babe, okay, I feel you, I see you. And I've just been dreaming about him a lot. And I'll feel his presence so strong where I'll have to turn around in the room. Like, I'll feel him in the room with me. So just to encourage you to know that your loved one, they might not be with you in the flesh, but they are with you in the spirit. And you just have to go on, because when you grieve, you have to be careful on not to grieve and go to the point of you become an alcoholic, or you become a drug addict, or you become depressed. And because our loved ones would want us to continue on, they would want us to be happy. Chris, he always laughed, and he was just so goofy and so silly. And so I always say, Chris wouldn't want us to be, just sad. He would want us to live our life, and he would want us to go on, and he would want us to continue on. So when that song came on and I was exercising, I just went and thought back to I've been on a fitness journey for 15 years, and I fall off and get back on it. But I remember one day when I first started, I would exercise during the day and in the night. So Chris had got up, and he already had seen me exercising that morning. So that evening he was going to be with his friends or whatever, and I'm exercising, and he's like, Mama, did you exercise already? And I'm like, yeah, I did. I'm like, but I gotta get these pounds off. And he just looked at me, just shook his head like, all right, and just left. So when I was on the Peloton, that memory came back to me, and I was just able to just just grab strength from that. So, be encouraged today if you've lost someone. And I heard people say that it gets better. And it gets better, but it just becomes like a new normal, because you know that person, you'll never see them again on this side of the earth. And so you just begin to learn how to deal with it, and you really rely on your memories and your times and the times that you laughed and things like that. And so it does get easier, but you just got to keep living, and know that they live in your heart. So I just wanted to encourage anybody today that has lost someone suddenly, to just hold on to the memories. Don't beat yourself up about it. If they called you a couple of weeks before and you didn't get the phone, or if they text you and you didn't respond back, or if you all had an argument and you didn't get a chance to say you're sorry, don't let that hold on. Don't hold on to that, because that really is a trick of the enemy. It really is. And it's a trick of the enemy to have you just be so into your grief that you lose your mind, or you go to a place that your loved one wouldn't want you to be. So just be encouraged today, and know that they're still in your heart, and that you can still talk to them, you can still be with them, and that love, it never diminishes. Like Jesus' love for us, it never diminishes. So the love is going to still be there no matter what. So just be encouraged today, and just live your life to the fullest. That's the best way you can honor a loved one that's not here, is to become a better person and just live your life to the fullest. So I hope that inspired someone today. So I'm going to turn it over to my Aunt Niecy so she can tell you her testimony. She's going to go back a little bit because it's just so much, but she's going to go back a little bit, and then she's going to bring it to her testimony of 2020.
All right, thank you first, Ken. As she said, this is my niece, Kenyatta, and I'm going to go back a ways, but I'm going to kind of do it in a snippet way. I was first diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis, in 1996, and it was relapse remittance. I lost my vision, ability to walk, ability to do basically anything on my own. But with me knowing God, that was my strength and still is till today. And my children also was my rock, to get up, Mom, because I seen them and I knew that they needed their mother. As well as also about with 4 bouts of blood clots in my lungs, 1 above my heart. And that's truly when I really knew the work of God was really working through me, and that He had control, and that nobody else could tell me anything different. They were all through my whole 4 quadrants of my lungs. The largest one was above my heart. The doctor came in. He could not understand why I was sitting there and how I could be breathing. And I will never forget telling him that the only one that's breathing breath of life through me is God. The oxygen thing they put on my finger read 100%. And no matter what man create, it read 100%. But in their mindset, they still could not understand how was I able to be sitting up in the bed, talking to them, breathing. Do not get me wrong, the reason why I went there is because I thought I had a really bad cold, thought I might have had pneumonia. But the ability to still be able to hold a conversation and to be able to still have breath flowing through my lungs. When I looked at the BQ scan, there was not a space in any part of my lung. It was all black. There was none. So they were baffled because they go off the science of medicine. And to remember that they're only practicing. My God, He is in control. So there's no practice what He does. He is in control. So then I knew, even though despite the fact that I went through the bout of MS, lost my vision, ability to walk, not able to work, also with the lungs, that right there at that moment, I really honestly knew that I wanted to do something to give back to God, to serve God, to let people know who He is, how awesome He is, no matter what you go through, despite what it is, what your trials or tribulations, lean on Him. Lean on His words, His promises. He can never fail. He can never fail. So that's where the real true journey actually really began for me. I had 4 bouts, like I said, of blood clots in my lungs with the MS. It has progressed now to secondary progressive. Still, that is not stopping me. I've had 4 spinal surgeries, which is a tethered spinal cord, which mimics the MS. It mimics a stroke as well. Speaking of strokes, I've had several mini strokes. Was told back in 2004 that I will have a major stroke within a year. Still yet, that has not came to pass. And moving on to 2019. 2019, I had my 5th spinal surgery. But through 2018, I went to several doctors. One who did my spinal surgeries in the past, he now does brain surgery. So one of his colleagues was my neurosurgeon. And he had me go through all these different tests, which is normal, but he did admit that he was scared that I would not have the ability to walk if he went in and did the surgery. So I reached out to 2 more other physicians, went all the way to Cleveland Clinic, and I prayed about that before I went there. And met a wonderful surgeon, Dr. Worcester. Took my daughter with me, and the first thing that he said is that I'm a Christian. And based upon what I do is what he tells me that I'm capable of doing. Right then I knew that my prayers were answered.
Yes.
That God will line things up perfectly for you. Like I said, I went to doctors here in Cincinnati and they feared to do it because he just wasn't experienced in my mind. He wasn't experienced. But he was not the one that God wanted to do the surgery.
Exactly. And let me cut you off right there because that's really a testimony in itself. No shade to doctors, but a lot of times they have a God-like complex.
Exactly.
So for a doctor to tell you, I'm not skilled in this, I'm fearful, I think you maybe should continue to look somewhere else. That goes to show you that when God's hand is in it, it's going to come to completion. Because, you know, a lot of times we hear about doctors, they performing surgery on people, they jack you up,
Exactly.
you know, and then they don't want to take no, responsibility for what they've done. So just even in that, you know, that just goes to show you that God's hand was in it.
Exactly. And he didn't sugarcoat anything. He told me the percentages of what could happen, how long it might last. It might last for a year. But before I seen him, and I was in the midst of seeing all these other doctors, I wasn't living. I was just existing. You know, I couldn't do things, which is my passion, praise dance, for my church. I couldn't do that because the ability to stand, it was painful. To lay, it was painful. To sit, it was painful. I couldn't sleep. The functions, your body functions wasn't right. So basically I was just existing, but I never gave up on God. You know, me and my husband, we prayed, we fast, you know, we spoke to God continuously, you know, to show us, direct me where I need to go. And he did that exactly. And he said if I didn't get the surgery, I wouldn't be able to walk. So it was true. I'm here today. I can tell you that I'm walking perfectly fine. You know, there are some things that still do occur that just goes with the disease that I have. But the disease does not define me. is just something that I have to deal with, along with God has given me the strength to press forward. So moving on into 2020, part of the MS, it develops a web in your esophagus. Several times, one evening, I went to take my medicine as I generally do, and it didn't go down. It stopped. So I had to get rushed to the hospital, Jewish hospital, and they had to put a tube down my throat in order to push it forward to see where the blockage was. Well, it was a web that was developing a stricture that was causing me not to be able to swallow. So I couldn't eat regular food. Basically, it was cream of wheat. Oatmeal was too thick. I would choke off of it. Certain liquids, if they were too thick, I would choke off of it. Pills had to be crushed. Some pills had to be put in liquid form. And so I was rushed to the hospital on 2 occasions. The second occasions, the pills were crushed and it didn't make it through. But due to the COVID-19, it just stagnated everything.
Because they did schedule you for surgery, but they had to cancel it.
Right, they had to
for
cancel
COVID,
it
right?
because
Yeah.
of COVID. It was scheduled back, if I'm not mistaken, back in April. Well, in March, we were put on quarantine. And it was said that if it was an emergency like surgery, in my mind, I'm thinking it's an emergency
Exactly,
surgery.
I can't swallow.
Because I can't swallow.
Right.
But in their mind, I guess, I wasn't dying. So,
Right.
okay, if she can get liquids in, what have you. So when I did make it to an appointment in order to get prepared for the surgery, and again, she told me that it looks as if like your muscles are not coordinating with your swallowing. And if that is the case, and if I can't go in, and it's called stretching your esophagus, and if I can't stretch it, then you will have to have a colostomy bag. And I asked, how long would that be? Is it reversible? And she said, well, as long as it possibly is, it might be forever. With me and my faith, no, not claiming that. So again, in my most quiet moment is when, in the wee hours of the morning, is when I best talk and hear from the Lord. And again, he directed me to someone else. And that individual, Dr. Friedman, he is an ENT surgeon. So he told me what would happen. The colostomy bag, he said, no, that's extreme. So my message also to you all out there, don't just go by what one person says. Seek out more than one physician.
Yeah.
But first off, the ultimate physician for me is God.
Amen.
I get in my most quiet moment when I can hear him clearly of what he has to say, and he will speak to you.
Yeah.
He will speak to you as if he's right in the room with you, because he is, and you will hear him clearly of what to do.
Yes. Because I like what you said when you said he directed you.
Right.
You have to go make your petitions known unto God, and then be still so you can hear him.
Exactly.
And he directed her. So that's how she ended up getting the second surgeon, was because the Lord directed her.
Exactly. And through the midst of all this COVID, I look at this as the opportunity for God to speak to me, speak to all of us.
Yes.
Things are just running rampant out here in our world, and he is the only one that is in control. He's the only one that can change it. He's the only one that can fix it. He's the only one that can turn it around.
Yes.
And this was my opportunity to become more close to him.
Yes.
I had to stop working, but that's okay, because God placed something else for me to do. I started making masks, donating them to the seniors in our church, people in my family, whoever needed masks, because people were out here trying to benefit and capitalize on something that's so horrific that's going on out here. And I wanted to put a dent in that. You know, that you don't have to pay 50, 60, 30, 40,
Right.
$20 to save your life
Yeah.
from someone out here for someone to profit off of. And I thank God for that, because it's something that I enjoy doing. I love helping people. So that's something that He allowed me to do. He gave me a gift, and I used that gift to serve His people
Amen.
out here. So, my message to you all is, despite all that I have been through, I would never ever turn my back on God. I never will. He is, I have been through so much.
Yes.
I really truly have.
Yes. Held and back.
And He has made me stronger despite whatever I have what I've gone through.
Yeah.
I look at all the different things that I have gone through, like the bouts with the blood clots. I could have been dead.
Yes.
I could have been
Yes.
dead.
Because you had several, and people die from one blood clot.
Mhm.
Like one blood clot in their leg or whatever, going to
Right.
their heart or lung.
Exactly.
They die, and so she had several, not once, but several times.
Mhm.
So she is just a living testimony, and even like never giving up. That's the key. Like never giving up.
Right.
You know, we go through things. We
Right.
go through things. We go through things. But that's why the Bible says that God's strength is made perfect in our weakness.
Yes.
And as long as many of the afflictions of the righteous,
Oh,
like we're going to go through things because
Yes.
Christ was perfect and He walked this earth and never committed a sin. And they talked about Him, they lied on Him, they betrayed Him, they killed Him. But we have to continue to keep going.
Exactly.
And when I say, I mean, my aunt, if you saw her, I'm serious. She would come and get her hair done. 4-inch heels, honey, okay? And I would be like, you know, this my aunt, you know. Sometimes I would say she got MS, but I would just see her because she would walk across the street and I would see you come across that street with your little cute fly self with heels on and just the jewelry and just, I mean, we are so much alike. We just love fashion and just straight shooters. We tell you what we think. We just don't know chasers. And I just would just be thinking like, she just got out of the hospital 2 weeks ago. Like literally one day she had just got out of the hospital. I think probably 4 days with some procedure. Came and got her hair done and walking across that dang on street. I'm like,
Yeah, she'll do it.
you would not know that she was going through this. And so sometimes some people would say, but they do it for empathy.
Right.
You know, they going through something and they walking around looking crazy. You know, they don't comb their hair. They are woe is me, woe is me. Don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
No.
Because this is a testimony that somebody can see. When you get up, you put your makeup on. You don't even have to wear makeup. I'm just saying.
Right.
You get up, you put your vest on. You keep putting your foot in front of the other. And then somebody will be like, when they hear your testimony, they like, girl, I did not know.
Exactly.
Like every time I saw you, I was smiling. Every time I talked to her and I would call her and I would encourage her. But she was just what she's saying now. I ain't believe they said this, but honey, I ain't claiming that. You know, they said that, but I'm not claiming that. Like God, He gonna make a way. He gonna do this. She always, her faith just always stood strong, and so her children could see that.
Yes.
You know, it's a legacy. Her children, her grandchildren, her co-workers, her church members. You know, just me. You know, just so I sometimes look at some of the things I'll be going through, and then I would have to focus and say, no, I can't even look. I got one day. I give myself one day to feel bad, to pound, pull the cover over my eyes, and then after that one day, it's like, okay, shut the dust off and keep going, because you can't stay in that place.
You can't. Satan wants you to stay there.
Yeah.
Satan wants you to give up. You know, Satan wants you to blame God.
Yeah.
Satan wants you to be angry with him. And don't get me wrong, you go through your moments.
Right.
You will have your moments.
Right.
I have a lot of moments, you know, and sometimes I had said it, and I had to ask God to forgive me, but why me?
Yeah.
You know, but then I look at it as if it's a purpose for what I'm going through.
Right.
If people see me and know who I see who's keeping me in the direction where I'm going, that will encourage them to not to give up.
Exactly.
Don't give up. Don't lean on to what the world has for you. Lean on to what he has to give you. And it will get better. You know, I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, because I'm not perfect by any means necessary. I still go through my things. I still have pain. But I don't hate God for any part of it. Actually, I thank him, because it made me get closer to him, made me see who is truly in control through all of this. I'm not in control. The doctors are not in control. And how he lines things up for you if you only listen, if you only give him the time that you might give some of the main things that you do every day. Just give him some time, spend time with him. That's all he wants. He wants you to talk to him, to spend time with him, get to know him, because he knows you.
Yes, he does.
He already knows you. He knows your name. And I have one more thing that I want to say. We praise dance our last Sunday at the church right a week before we were put in quarantine, and it was Tasha Cobb's song.
Which one?
You Know My Name.
Oh yes, yes.
You Know My Name.
Yes. He knows my name. Is it He Knows My Name?
He knows.
Yeah,
my name.
He knows my name. Yes.
He knows my name.
Yes.
And I want to tell you that the Spirit moved.
Yes.
That day. And I was so honored to be able to be a part of that dance that day, because it left our congregation, it left me knowing that he knows exactly who I am. He knows from the little bitty part of my hair to the toenail or the callus on the bottom of my foot.
Yes.
He knows me.
Yes.
And he knows what I need. He knows what I don't need. He knows how to comfort me. He just wants me to reach out to him. So my goal for 2020 and beyond is to be a disciple for him. Yes. To be out there to talk to those who don't know him. Amen. Who want to know him, who fear, who hesitant, who's on that fence, you know, who wants to get to know who he is. This is our opportunity, people.
Yes, it is.
He wants us to sit down and to get closer, have an intimate relationship with him. And I'm telling you, it's like no other relationship.
It's not.
It's not like any other relationship.
Yes. And before we close, I want you to just tell them what God did, because when the web was there, they were saying it might not work.
Right.
You know, it might, because they had to put
a balloon.
But when they went down, they had to use the infant size.
Right.
Okay, so just imagine how, I don't know how wide your throat is, because I'm not a doctor, I've never, but I'm just saying, the infant size, I was a medical assistant for a while, so I've seen the average ones, and they're probably about pinky size or whatever. So they had to use the infant one. And they told her, like, we don't know if this is going to work, you know, like she was saying, she might have to get the bag. But then when they went in, he had to do Botox on the muscles in my esophagus and down in my throat and above my stomach. In order to whiten it, he had to put a balloon down my throat, down my esophagus, to expand it, because it was so narrow that, like Kenyatta said, that the infant tube, the prenatal tube neonatal tube could not fit down my throat. So just, if you can just imagine maybe a coffee stirrer, a little straw, and you try to suck liquid out of that. Just imagine trying to put food down there, put pills down there, liquid down there. That's what I went through probably for about 5 to 6 months, waiting to get in for them to be able to open up my esophagus in order for me to eat and to drink properly, and to see if it was even going to be done, because they didn't even know if they were going to do it. But God, glory to God, because they did. And she's eating now, and she's able to swallow, and you know, it's a testimony of endurance and what God can do. When the doctor says it can't be done, but God, it can be done. And that's why we have to continually speak life. We have to continually speak our healing. We have to continue. I don't care what you have to do. If you might be weak one day, call somebody that's strong. I mean, many times we've encouraged each other. Many times, I'm feeling weak today. I need you to pray for me. I got this report and I don't believe it, but I can't see with my carnal eyes. I see this, but I need to see it with my spiritual eyes. Get with somebody, connect with somebody that can pray with you and encourage you, because I'm telling you, together in the midst, God says, when you join together, and I'm paraphrasing, with somebody, He is in the midst.
Yes.
And whatever you ask in His name, it shall be done.
Yes.
And one can fleet 1,000, two can fleet 10,000. So you get together with somebody, a prayer partner, and pray on that thing and believe that thing and speak that thing and confess that thing and see won't God work, because that is what He wants to do.
Yes.
He wants to show us who He is.
Yes.
He wants to show us that He is in control. He wants to show us that He has all power.
Yes.
So don't give up. I don't care what it is. This is a living, walking testimony right here. And if you looked at her right now, you wouldn't even know that she even has MS. You won't even know she's still walking. My other aunt on my maternal mother's side had MS for I think 20 years. She's no longer here. And she's had it, so if you got diagnosed in 94, so you've had it 96. So it's gonna almost be 30 years in 2016. Yeah. And look at God.
Yes.
Not saying that she has been perfect, not saying that she's been without sickness and all that, but look at what God can do when your mind and when your faith is right. So be encouraged on today. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Just be encouraged and just continue to walk in your faith. I love you today, and so does the Lord. Thank you. And if you like this, subscribe, hit the like button, and we just thank you, and continue to join us next week with the next testimony. God bless.
God bless.